Luke chapter 9. Christ sends forth his apostles, feeds 5,000 with 5 loaves, is transfigured, and casts out a devil. Then calling together the 12 apostles, he gave them power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. And he said to them, Take nothing for your journey, neither staff nor scrip, nor bread nor money, neither have 2 coats. And whatsoever house you shall enter into, abide there, and depart not from thence. And whosoever will not receive you when ye go out of that city, shake off even the dust off your feet for a testimony against them. And going out, when they went about through the towns, preaching the gospel and healing everywhere. Now Herod the Tetrarch heard of all things that were done by him, and he was in a doubt, because it was said by some that John was risen from the dead, but by others some that Elias had appeared, and by others that one of the old prophets was risen again. And Herod said, John I have beheaded, but who is this of whom I hear such things? And he sought to see him. And the apostles, when they were returned, told him all they had done. And taking them, he went aside into a desert place apart, which belongeth to Bethsaida, which when the people knew, they followed him. And he received them, and spoke to them of the kingdom of God, and healed them who had need of healing. Now the day began to decline, and the 12 came and said to him, Send away the multitude, that going into the towns and villages round about they may lodge and get victuals, for we are here in a desert place. But he said to them, Give you them to eat. And they said, We have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fishes, unless perhaps we should go and buy food for all this multitude. Now there were about 5,000 men, and he said to his disciples, Make them sit down by 50s in a company. And they did so, and made them all sit down. And taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven and blessed them. And he broke and distributed to his disciples to set before the multitude. And they did all eat and were filled, and they were taken up of fragments that remained to them 12 baskets. And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples also were with them. And he asked them, saying, Whom do the people say that I am? But they answered and said, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others say that one of the former prophets is risen again. And he said to them, But whom do you say that I am? Simon Peter answered, saying, The Christ of God. But he strictly charging them, commanded they should tell this to no man, saying, The Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected by the ancients and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and the 3rd day rise again. And he said to all, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, for he that shall lose his life for my sake shall save it. For what is a man advantaged if he gain the whole world, and lose himself, and cast away himself? For he that shall be ashamed of me, and of my words of him, the Son of Man shall be ashamed when he shall come in his majesty, and that of his Father, and of the holy angels. But I tell you of a truth, there are some standing here that shall not taste death till they see the kingdom of God. And it came to pass about 8 days after these words, that he took Peter and James and John and went up into a mountain to pray. And whilst he prayed, the shape of his countenance was altered, and his raiment became white and glittering. And behold, two men were talking with him, and they were Moses and Elias, appearing in majesty, and they spoke of his decease, that he should accomplish in Jerusalem. But Peter and they that were with him were heavy with sleep. And waking they saw his glory, and the two men that stood with him. And it came to pass, as they were departing from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias, not knowing what he said. And as he spoke these things, there came a cloud, and overshadowed them, and they were afraid when they entered into the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And whilst the voice was uttered, Jesus was found alone, and they held their peace, and told no man in those days any of these things which they had seen. And it came to pass the day following, when they came down from the mountain, there met him a great multitude. And behold, a man among the crowd out, saying, Master, I beseech thee, look upon my son, because he is my only one. And lo, a spirit seized him, and he suddenly cried out, and he throwed him down, and teared him so that he foamed, and bruising him, he hardly departed from him. And I desired thy disciples to cast him out, and they could not. And Jesus answering said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Bring hither thy son. And as he was coming to him, the devil threw him down, and tore him. And Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, and cured the boy, and restored him to his father. And all were astonished at the mighty power of God. But while all wondered at all the things he did, he said to his disciples, Lay you up in your hearts these words, for it shall come to pass, that the Son of Man shall be delivered into the hands of men. But they understood not this word, and it was hid from them, so that they perceived it not. And they were afraid to ask him concerning this word. And there entered a thought unto them, which of them should be greater. But Jesus, seeing the thoughts of their hearts, took a child, and set him by him, and said to them, Whosoever shall receive this child in my name, receiveth me, and whosoever shall receive me, receiveth him that sent me. For he that is the lesser among you all, he is the greater. And John answering said, Master, we saw a certain man casting out devils in thy name, and we forbade him, because he followeth not with us. And Jesus said to him, Forbid him not, for he that is not against you is for you. And it came to pass, when the days of his assumption were accomplishing, that he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers before his face, and going they entered into a city of the Samaritans to prepare for him. And they received him not, because his face was of one going to Jerusalem. And when his disciples James and John had seen this, they said, Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them? And turning he rebuked them, saying, You know not of what spirit you are. The Son of Man came not to destroy souls, but to save. And they went into another town. And it came to pass, as they walked in the way, that a certain man said to him, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. Jesus said to him, The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air nests, but the Son of Man had not where to lay his head. But he said to another, Follow me. And he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and to bury my father. And Jesus said to him, Let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of God. And another said, I will follow thee, Lord, but let me first take my leave of them that are at my house. Jesus said to him, No man putting his hand to the plough and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God.